everyone. I'm Dr. Rizwana, working as Professor of Physics in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I'm going to discuss about different types of polarization taking place in a dielectric material. So already in my previous video, I have explained in detail about dielectric materials. So we know that when we apply external electric field to a dielectric material, then they undergo this phenomenon of polarization. So here, and when we talk about this applying external electric field, generally what we'll do, we'll keep our dielectric material in between the two capacitor plates. So we'll keep our dielectric material in between the two capacitor plates and then we'll apply external electric field. Then we know that because of this external electric field, if the direction of electric field is in this direction, then first charges, they are going to develop on the capacitor plates because capacitor plates, they store electric charge. And then next, because first when charges are stored on capacitor plates and when left side of capacitor plate has become positively charged because it is connected to positive polarity, and then right side capacitor plate is negatively charged because it is connected to negative polarity. And then what we are going to observe here is because of these charges on the capacitor plates, then charges, they will be induced on the faces of dielectric material which is kept in between the capacitor plates. And what we are going to observe here is, as we can see that right side capacitor plate, because it is negatively charged, then all the positive charges that are present inside the dielectric material, they are forced to move to the right end. Okay, so it means that positive charges inside the dielectric material, they are moving in a direction same as field. So they'll be moving in the direction same as electric field. And all the what we are going to observe, because here left side capacitor plate is positively charged, so all the negative charges, they come in the direction opposite to field. So in this displacement of charges, or simply we can say that when we have charges separated by a small distance, opposite charges separated by a small distance, then we know that it is called dipole. And when we have such formation of dipoles inside the dielectric material, this phenomenon is known as polarization. And when we are talking about polarization, of course, when we have taken different dielectric materials, we have already discussed about polar dielectrics and non-polar dielectrics. So we know that polar dielectrics, if we generally these polar dielectrics, they consist of polyatomic molecules where each molecule consists of different types of atoms, and each molecule, it will be in the state of a dipole even if we are not applying any external electric field. And whereas if you go for non-polar dielectrics, in non-polar dielectrics generally each molecule, it won't be in the state of electric dipole. But what we are going to observe here is in both these dielectrics, in order to have net dipole moment, we have to apply external electric field. Now, when we are talking about this polarization, what we are going to understand here is, depending upon what type of dielectric material is subjected to electric field, there are different phenomena of polarization taking place. So there are different phenomena of polarization taking place based on type of dielectric material subjected to external electric field. So when we are talking about type of dielectric material, here we are not going to focus on polar and non-polar dielectrics, but here when we are talking about the nature, okay, so here as you can see, whether we are taking a material which consists of elements or single atoms, like silicon, germanium, diamond, sulfur, or when we are taking dielectrics which belong to ionic, which are ionic in nature, or we can call them as ionic dielectrics, and generally which materials will come under ionic dielectrics? Alkali halides. And then also, of course, we have our polar dielectric where without any electric field, each molecule, it is in the state of a dipole, or whether if we have taken any alloy which consists of multi-phases. So here, whether we are considering dielectrics consisting of single atoms, which is called as elemental dielectrics, or we are taking ionic dielectrics or polar dielectrics or multi-phase dielectrics, which are nothing but alloys, based on that, on application of external electric field, we are going to observe that type of polarization occurring will be different. Of course, till now we are taking this polarization process of just a displacement of positive and negative charges. But here we are going to take this polarization to one more level, and here you are going to observe here is even in polarization itself, there are different types taking place. So here generally, If we consider this polarization process, as I told you, depending upon what type of material being selected, there are four types of polarization. First, it is called as electronic polarization. And second type of polarization is ionic polarization. And then third one is dipolar or orientation polarization. And the fourth one is space charge polarization. So we have electronic polarization, ionic polarization, dipolar or orientation polarization, and fourth one is space charge polarization. And if you can see here, as I told you, based on what type of nature of material or nature of dielectric we are considering. So if we talk about electronic polarization, generally it will occur in elemental dielectrics. So what are elemental dielectrics? Dielectrics which consists of single atoms. So here there are some examples given. So suppose if you take diamond, we know that it is made up of carbon atoms. So it is made up of mono atoms, which are carbon atoms. And similarly, if we take sulfur also it is made up of sulfur atoms. Germanium is also made up of germanium atoms. So when we consider such elemental dielectrics and when we subject them to external electric field, then we observe that level of polarization will be different. Okay, and that polarization, it is called as electronic polarization. And in our next slides, we are going to discuss in detail what exactly is this polarization. And then coming to second type of polarization, we have ionic polarization. And as you can see, this type of polarization, it is going to occur in ionic dielectrics. So what are ionic dielectrics? Generally, alkali halides, they are called as ionic dielectrics, or some examples, if you want to take alkali halides like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, or potassium iodide, or sodium bromide. So these are all examples of this alkali halides materials. So generally these dielectrics where ionic bond takes place between two atoms, and these two atoms, we know that during ionic bond formation, two atoms, dissimilar atoms, they'll come together and there will be transfer of electron from electronegative atom, electropositive atom to electronegative atom, and then electropositive atom, of course, it will become positively charged, electronegative atom will become negatively charged, and because of this attraction between two opposite charges, there will be formation of this ionic dielectrics. But once we apply external electric field, then there will be separation of these ions. Then coming to third type of polarization, which is dipolar or orientation polarization, and we know that it occurs in polar dielectrics. So already in my previous video, I have discussed in detail about what are polar dielectrics. So if we take these polar dielectrics, in polar dielectrics like hydrogen chloride or water, we know that even if we don't apply external electric field, each molecule which consists of dissimilar atoms or polyatoms, so one atom it will act as positive end of dipole and other atom it will act as negative end of dipole. So, but what we are going to observe here is, even though each molecule it is in the state of a dipole, but when we go from one molecule to another molecule, the direction of orientation of dipole will be different. So our net dipole moment will be 0. Then coming to fourth type of polarization, space charge polarization. And this contribution of space charge polarization is very, very small. Its contribution is very, very small. And generally it occurs where we are combining different elements, metallic or non-metallic elements. So these are also called as alloys, or we can also take it as composite materials or ceramics. So in these type of dielectric materials, they'll have multi-phases. So they just don't have one phase or one phase boundary. They'll have many boundaries because of combination of different elements. So when we take such multi-phase dielectrics, what we are going to observe here is at those phases. Suppose if I have taken one material, suppose I have taken a dielectric material or an alloy, and in that alloy we will have many grains. Suppose we call them as grains, where grains are collection of atoms and molecules. And when we go from one grain to another grain, they are separated by a boundary, and these boundaries they are called as phases. And what we are going to observe here is, when we apply electric field to such dielectrics, there will be accumulation of charges, and these charges they can be even vacancies also, oxygen vacancies. So there will be accumulation of charges at these boundaries, which gives rise to very small negligible contribution of space charge polarization. But generally we try to ignore such space charge polarization, so we won't take into contribution. So majorly now in this video, I'm going to focus on first three types of polarization, which are electronic, ionic, orientation, polarization. So now discussing about our first type of polarization in detail, we have our electronic polarization. So what is electronic polarization? As I have told you that this electronic polarization, it occurs in dielectric materials which consists of single atoms. So for that we have taken examples. As we know that it occurs in elemental dielectrics. In elemental dielectrics, we have considered diamond, sulfur and germanium. So if we take diamond, it is made up of single carbon atoms. If we take sulfur, it is made up of single sulfur atoms, and germanium, it is made up of single germanium atoms. Now, in order to understand here this polarization, we have to, because they are made up of atoms, one thing what we have to understand here is this electronic polarization, it takes place at atomic level. So this electronic polarization, it takes place at atomic level. So polarization which is taking place in an atom, so that type of polarization, it is called as electronic polarization. Now, when we take an atom, so generally if we take an atom, in an atom, generally we'll have positively charged nucleus, right? And of course, there are electrons which are distributed in various orbits. So we have electrons which are distributed in various orbits, so around this positively charged nucleus. And we know that we assume an atom to be spherical in nature. These electrons distributed in various orbits, so electrons which are distributed in various orbits, it is taken as a spherical electron cloud. So it is taken as spherical electron cloud. Okay, so we have positively charged nucleus and then we have electrons distributed in various orbits, and this electrons in various orbits, they are taken just like a cloud. What we have in cloud we have dispersion of particles, and here surrounding our nucleus we have dispersion of electrons. So electrons are distributed, and that distribution will assume it to be in spherical in nature. So when we talk about an atom, so we'll say that we have positive charge. What is a positive charge? Positive charge is nothing but our nucleus. So we have our nucleus. Suppose this is the center of our nucleus, and this nucleus, it is being surrounded by electron cloud which is spherical in nature. So we have electron cloud which is spherical in nature. So if you consider this electron cloud, so this is our electron cloud which is spherical in nature. Right. Now, of course, this is our spherical electron cloud. Where we have electrons distributed in various orbits. And when we are not applying any external electric field to this elemental dielectrics, then each atom, if I consider each atom of this dielectric, then center of positively charged nucleus, which is called as center of gravity of positive charge, and then this electron cloud, which is assumed to be spherical in nature, and when I consider its center, okay, so what we are going to observe here is center of this positively charged nucleus and center of this spherical electron cloud, they occur or they coincide at the same point. So there is no separation of charges. So that's why each atom, it is not in the state of polarization. And this is the case when we are not applying any electric field, when no electric field is applied to this elemental dielectrics. So this is the case when we are not applying any electric field. Now, to such an atom, if we apply electric field, then what we are going to observe here is, now when you consider, of course, this is our positively charged nucleus. So this is our positively charged nucleus. And here, of course, this is our spherical electron cloud. And here what we have done, we have not applied any electric field. Then center of positively charged nucleus and center of spherical electron cloud, they occur at the same point. So here they are not in the state of polarization, not in the state of dipole. Now to such a particular system or atom, if we apply electric field, then what we are going to observe here is this nucleus, it won't move from its position because it is heavy. Because nucleus is heavier, that's why nucleus, it is not going to move from its position. But when we take this electron cloud, because it is lighter than nucleus, then this electron cloud, it will get displaced from its original position. And in which direction electron cloud is going to move? Electron cloud, it will move in the direction opposite to applied electric field. So what we are saying here is, once we apply electric field to such elemental dielectrics, then what we are going to observe here is nucleus, it is not going to move from its place, but there is displacement of this spherical electron cloud. And why this spherical electron cloud is moving? Because it is easy for the electrons to move. And where this electron cloud will move, it moves in the direction opposite to the field. Then if I consider such case when we are applying electric field, again I am going to take my nucleus. Suppose this is our nucleus, or if we try to show it here in this figure, this is our original electron cloud, which is there in the absence of electric field. And then next what we are going to see here is, on application of electric field, as you can see here, this electron cloud, it has got displaced. And in which direction it is moving? In the direction opposite to the field. So here, as you can see, this is our original electron cloud. So this is our original electron cloud, and this one is displaced electron cloud. And as you can see, where is the center of nucleus? Center of nucleus is here only, but where is the center of this electron cloud now? It has shifted. So this electron cloud has shifted. So if I take this as center of electron cloud, so this is our plus Ze, which is our nucleus, and Z is atomic number and E is electronic charge. And this point, it will be our minus Ze, because we know that electron cloud, it is equivalent opposite to our nucleus. So here, so it will become minus Ze. So this is our electron cloud. Now this center of positively charged nucleus and center of electron cloud, they are separated. Okay, so they are separated by a distance. So such a separation of positively charged nucleus and center of spherical electron cloud on application of electric field, thereby forming dipole within atom, is nothing but electronic polarization. So when we talk about electronic polarization, what we are going to observe here is center of positively charged nucleus and center of electron cloud, they will be displaced. And in this case, what is the direction of applied electric field? So what we are going to observe here is, because our electron cloud, it has moved to the right side. So obviously electric field direction, it will be in this direction, because our electron cloud, it will move in the direction opposite to the electric field. Now, when we have such a displacement, now if you want to find what is the expression for electronic polarizability, already we have defined electronic polarizability. What is polarizability? Generally, polarizability, it is denoted by term alpha. So this polarizability, it is denoted by alpha. And how we have defined alpha? For that, what we said here is, Once, like in dielectric materials, each atom or molecule, it will be in the state of a dipole when we apply electric field. And depending upon strength of electric field, so few dipoles or many dipole formation will be there. So that's why accordingly dipole moment is going to change. So what we are going to observe here is induced dipole moment. It is proportional to electric field. And if we take out this proportionality sign, this is our proportionality sign, then I'm introducing one constant alpha. So what is alpha? Alpha is polarizability. And how we are going to define our polarizability? Polarizability, of course, it is defined as the induced dipole moment per electric field applied. Now, if I want to know what is the expression for electronic polarizability when there is such type of polarization taking place, I have to take into consideration what are the different types of forces that are actually making this electron cloud move. Okay, so now first thing is what we are going to observe here. First, what happened? We have applied electric field. And what this electric field doing? This electric field, it is forcing this electron cloud to move. So it is inducing displacement of electron cloud. So it means that electron cloud is moved by a force, and that force it is called as Lorentz force. So first, because of Lorentz force, what is the first force which is acting on this atom belonging to elemental dielectric? That force it is called as Lorentz force. And generally, how we'll take Lorentz force? Lorentz force is nothing but force exerted by external electric field. And when we want to take what is the magnitude of Lorentz force, we'll take it as strength, like charge into strength of electric field. And what is the charge here? ZE. And what is the strength of electric field? E. So because of this force, what happened now? Centers of positively charged nucleus and centers of electron cloud are displaced. But to see, this displacement does not occur to very large distance. They are displaced by very small distance. So obviously, when we have two equal and opposite charges separated by a small distance, then automatically attractive force will develop between them. And what is that attractive force developing between two charges, two opposite charges? That particular force, it is called as Coulomb force. So it is called as Coulomb force. And what this Coulomb force will try to do? It will try to bring electron cloud back to its original position. So because of attractive force that is existing between nucleus and electron cloud, so this Coulomb force, it will try to bring it back to its original position. But once it comes back to its original position, because still we are applying external electric field, what this electric field it will try to do? That is nothing but Lorentz force, it will try to separate them again. So one force, that is Lorentz force, is trying to separate these charges, whereas Coulomb force, it is trying to bring them closer. And what we are going to observe here is a stage is reached. That stage, it is called as equilibrium stage. And at this equilibrium stage, what we are going to observe here is this Lorentz force and Coulomb force will balance each other. Okay, and then our electron cloud and nucleus, they'll come to stable condition. And let us suppose at that stable condition, this center of positively charged nucleus and center of electron cloud, they are separated by a distance x. What is x? X is distance between center of positively charged nucleus and center of electron cloud under equilibrium condition, where Lorentz force and Coulomb force balance each other. So these two forces are equal and opposite. Okay, so now in order to find this, what we are going to see here is, of course, as I told you, there are two forces. Now, if we go back to this figure, so first I know expression for Lorentz force. If I want to write expression for Coulomb force, so how this Coulomb force, we know that Lorentz force, it is given as, Lorentz force is nothing but, generally we'll take it as magnitude of charge into strength of electric field applied. Suppose I am taking it as first equation. Then once they are separated, Coulomb force will develop between them. How to get this Coulomb force? Generally we know formula for Coulomb force between two charges. Suppose I have two charges Q1 and Q2. Force between these two Coulomb, two charges, it is given by Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught r square, where r is the distance of separation between these two charges. But in this case, what are my two charges? One is my nucleus, whose charge is Ze, and now another one is my electron cloud. Now this electron cloud is as you can see, it has got displaced. First, Previously, when I consider this electron cloud, it is in a region or in a sphere whose radiuses are. So previously, when we are not applying an electric field, this electron cloud, it is in the shape of a sphere, or it is surrounding nucleus in an electron cloud whose radiuses are. So when no electric field is applied, when we have not applied any electric field, when we don't apply any electric field, so what is the charge density of this spherical electron cloud? So when no electric field is applied, so here charge density of electron cloud, it is nothing but charge per unit volume. What is the charge of electron cloud? Minus Ze, because it is distributed in a sphere whose radius is r. So volume will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. So this will take it as first equation, and of course Lorentz force we take it as second equation. And next we have our Coulomb force, which will try to bring electron cloud back to its position, which exists between two charges. As I told you, one charge is our nucleus whose charge is given as Ze, and another one is because our electron cloud, it has got displaced. Now it is there in a sphere whose radius is x, and we don't know that x is equal to r. So we are not sure whether now, as you can see here, this actually this is almost closer to this x, this electron cloud. It will be formed as if its radius is x. And what we are going to observe here is, now we need to find how much charge distribution is there in this new sphere whose radius is x now. Actually, this nucleus, it will be here. So if we consider this figure, so or if I try to draw this figure again, so this is our nucleus. Previously, we have our electron cloud when we have not applied any electric field. So this is R. But once we apply electric field, now we have our electron cloud separated, and this distance is x. It means that this is our displaced electron cloud, and this displaced electron cloud, it has formed a sphere whose radius is x. Electron cloud of radius x, and we are not sure that this radius are previous when we have not applied any electric field, and when we have applied electric field, the radius is same. So we are not sure about it. So that's why we'll say that when we talk about another charge, we'll say that charge which is enclosed in a sphere of radius x. And of course these two charges, they are separated, and in this case, of course, these two charges again, they are separated by distance x under equilibrium condition. So this I'll take it as 4 pi epsilon naught x square. Now if I want to know what is the charge enclosed, so if you want to know what is the charge enclosed, then this charge is nothing but out of total charge density of electron cloud rho, when we have not applied any electric field, how much charge has been there distributed in a new sphere whose radius is x. So this is our charge enclosed, and we know that we have expression 1. So from that expression, what is our charge density? Minus Ze by 4 by 3 pi r cube, right, into here we have 4 by 3 pi x cube, then 4 by 3, and then of course pi will get cancelled. So we have minus Ze into x cube by r cube, and I am going to substitute this in Coulomb force. So if you substitute in Coulomb force, then we have our Coulomb force as Ze into minus Ze x cube by 4 pi epsilon naught x square into r cube. Then this x square and this will get cancelled. So ultimately we are left with minus z square e square into x by 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. Now we'll come to equilibrium condition. We know that under equilibrium condition, we have our Lorentz force and Coulomb force equal and opposite. So under equilibrium, we have to balance these two forces. So when we go for equilibrium condition, we know that under equilibrium condition, so here Lorentz force is equal to Coulomb force. So we have these two forces equal. So it is equal to Coulomb force. So that's why, of course, they are equal and opposite. So that's why we have our Lorentz force as ZEE, and this is minus, but they balance each other, so equal and opposite. So magnitude wise, if I take it, Z square E square X by 4 pi epsilon naught R cube. Now from this, what is our x? X comes out to be 4 pi epsilon naught r cube by Ze. So this is the displacement between two charges. And here we have nucleus and electron cloud displaced by a small distance. So they are forming a dipole. And we know that when we have such a dipole, when we have two charges plus Ze and minus Ze separated by a distance x. So we know that here we have two charges plus Ze and minus Ze. They are displaced by distance x. So in that case, our dipole moment, induced dipole moment mu, it is given as alpha into E. So this induced in terms of polarizability. So here actually, of course, alpha E is also there. And there is one more definition for induced dipole moment. So here we know that when we have a dipole and when there are charges separated, then dipole moment, it is given as charge into distance between charges. So we have defined dipole like this. So of course, this is the formula for induced dipole. This is one formula, and when we talk about the dipole moment, mu, so it is also given as mu is equal to charge into distance between charges. So we have charge. What is our charge? Charge is Ze, and they are separated by distance x. And if I substitute x value here, so what is our x? X is 4 pi epsilon naught r cube by Ze. So of course, here in this case, what we are going to observe here is, of course, here it is given as E is also there in x. And if I substitute here, then we are getting our induced dipole moment as 4 pi epsilon naught r cube into E by, of course, Ze will get cancelled. So this is the formula. And if I try to compare this equation and this equation, so ultimately our electronic polarizability, it comes out to be 4 pi epsilon naught r cube, where r is the radius of atom. It means that electronic polarizability is proportional to radius of atom, and this polarizability, it is independent of temperature. Now talking about second type of polarization, which is ionic polarization. So in ionic polarization, if we take, actually this ionic polarization, it occurs in ionic dielectrics. So generally it occurs in ionic dielectrics or ionic compounds, where two dissimilar atoms, they come together and they'll form a strong bond because of transfer of electron. So for that I have taken example of sodium chloride. So if I take sodium chloride, we know that first sodium atom, if we take sodium atom, its atomic number is 11. And if we take chlorine atom, its atomic number will be 17. We know that the sodium atom, it is ready to lose its one electron in order to gain stability, whereas chlorine atom, it is ready to accept one electron in order to gain stability. So sodium atom, it is called as electropositive atom, and chlorine atom, it is called as electronegative atom. So here, because of transfer of electron from sodium atom to chlorine atom, then sodium atom, it will become positively charged ion, and chlorine atom will become negatively charged ion. And because we have two oppositely charged ions, so because of strong attractive force, they'll come together and they'll form ionic bond. So actually, when we don't apply any electric field, suppose if I take this example of sodium chloride, then what we are going to observe here is, if this is our sodium and if this is our chlorine, then generally, suppose this is our sodium and this is our chlorine, and usually their distance of separation, if we consider, the distance of separation is taken as R0. What is R0? R0, it is called as equilibrium ionic spacing. So it is the distance between two oppositely charged ions when they are in bond formation. So R0 is equilibrium charge spacing, and here there is no separation of ions. So that's why there is no dipole. So this is the case when we are not applying any electric field. But to such sodium chloride molecule, if I apply electric field, then what happens now? This electric field, it is going to force these ions to get separated. And what we are going to observe here is, now the sodium and chlorine ions, they'll be displaced from their original equilibrium position. And what we are going to observe here is, if I take their distance of separation. So as you can see, now this is our Na plus and this is our Cl minus, and before they are separated by equilibrium ionic spacing, now our Na plus ion, it has moved through distance x1, and then Cl minus ion. So if you take the Cl minus ion, it has moved through distance x2. And what is the net distance? net distance between these two oppositely charged ions. So this net distance I am taking it as x, which is equal to x1 plus x2. So this distance of separation is taken as x1 plus x2. So here what we are going to observe here is, and of course here let us suppose that this positive ion, it has got mass m, and this negative ion, it has got mass small m. So in this case what we are going to observe here is, first again here we have role of Lorentz force. So if we take this Lorentz force, it is given as charge. Here we are talking in terms of charge E into distance of course applied electric field EE. And once they are separated, again there is one force which will try to bring them back to their original position. And that force, it is called as restoring force. So if we take this restoring force, how will write restoring force? It is given in terms of force constant. So here if we talk about positive ion, so if we are talking about positive ion, that is Na plus, here Lorentz force will be EE. Why it is EE? Because they are moved, positive ion, it will move in the direction of applied electric field. So as you can see, if this is my electric field direction, so positive ion, it will move in the direction same as field, negative ion opposite to field. So Lorentz force will be plus EE and restoring force will be minus K1 x1. So what is K1 here? K1, it is called as restoring force constant, which is given by mass of positive ion into natural frequency of positive ion, which is omega naught square. Similarly, if I take this negative ion, for negative ion, this Lorentz force, it will be equal to minus EE because it is moving in the direction opposite to field. And then this restoring force, it is taken as plus K2 x2. What is K2? Again force constant, which is given as mass of negative ion into natural frequency of ion. And one force is trying to separate them, then restoring force will try to bring them back to their position. Then what happens? Again equilibrium comes where Lorentz force and restoring force will balance. And then of course these ions, they'll come to stable condition and at equilibrium. So where Lorentz force and Coulomb force are balancing each other, then what we are going to observe here is, if I take positive ion, for positive ion, Lorentz force will be equal to K1 x1, and from this x1 is equal to EE by K1. And similarly for negative ion, EE is equal to K2 x2, and from this our x2 is EE by K2. So what is the net distance of separation, which is x1 plus, so here we have x1 plus x2. So it comes out to be EE into 1 by K1. So but what is our K1 in terms of the mass? It is taken as 1 by, of course here we have omega naught square. So it is 1 by m plus 1 by m. And we know that induced dipole moment is charge into separation between the charges. So our induced dipole moment, it will be E square omega naught square into 1 by m. So if we consider here, so it will be 1 by capital M plus 1 by small m. And but we know that induced dipole moment is polarizability into electric field. If we compare, then our ionic polarizability expression will be this. Okay, so where omega naught is natural frequency of ionic molecule. Then coming to orientation polarization, already have discussed in my video, as we know that it occurs in polar dielectrics. Suppose if I take hydrogen chloride molecule, so they'll form hydrogen bond where they'll share one pair of electron, but this chlorine atom, because it is highly electronegative, it will try to pull this pair of electron towards it. And when it pulls this pair of electron towards it, then hydrogen atom, it will act as positive end of the dipole, and chlorine atom, it will act as negative end of the dipole. So they are in the state of a dipole. So even if we don't apply any electric field, each molecule, it will be in the state of a dipole. So this is the case when no electric field is applied, and this represents each molecule of polar dielectric. So they are in the form of dipole, but problem is all these dipoles are randomly oriented. So net dipole moment will be 0. But when we apply electric field, so if I apply electric field in this direction, then what we are going to observe here is all these dipoles, they'll get oriented. So they are getting oriented in which direction? As you can see, all the positive end of the dipoles, they'll be in the direction of electric field, and negative ends will be in the direction direction opposite to field, because all the dipoles, they are oriented in the same direction. So there is large dipole moment associated with polar dielectrics. So this polarization taking place because of orientation of dipoles is nothing but orientation polarization. And when we talk in terms of its polarizability, so its polarizability generally, it is defined as alpha d, which is equal to alpha naught, which is given as mu square by 3 kt, where k is Boltzmann constant. And what is the value of Boltzmann constant? 1.38 into 10 to the power of minus 23 joule per Kelvin. And of course, T is temperature. And what we have to understand here is, out of 3 types of polarizations we have discussed, it is the only polarization which depends on temperature. So what we are going to observe here is this polarizability, it is inversely proportional to temperature. So as temperature increases, what happens to polarization? It decreases. Why it is going to decreases? Because temperature or this thermal energy, it will try to again randomly, it will make sure that all the dipoles, they'll come back to their random orientation. So it will try to disturb their orientation. So because of randomly oriented, so their polarization is going to decrease. So of the 3 polarization which we have taken, electronic polarization, which takes place at atomic level, where we have separation of nucleus and electron cloud. Then we have ionic polarization. In ionic polarization, it takes place in ionic dielectrics, where there are separation of ions. And whereas when we talk about this orientation polarization because of orientation of all dipoles, where each molecule already in the state of dipole, which occurs in polar dielectrics. And of all these 3 polarization, we have seen that electronic polarizability depends on volume of atom. Ionic polarizability depends upon natural frequency of ions, which is given as omega naught, actually square of natural frequency of the ions. And when we talk about orientation polarization, it's the only polarization, as we can see, depends on temperature. So this is about different types of polarization occurring depending upon what type of dielectric material is subjected to electric field. So with this, I am going to end my session here. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.